So first of all, I want to congratulate Canada of reaching to the World Cup for the first time since 1986 after they were able to clinch their World Cup berth with a 4-0 win against Jamaica at home. And while this game was in the second half, the game between El Salvador versus Costa Rica kicked off, and I was actually watching the second half of this game while watching the first half of that Costa Rica versus El Salvador game simultaneously. And unfortunately, that Costa Rica El Salvador game, El Salvador is actually down 2-1 against Costa Rica heading into the second half, and I'm fingers crossed that El Salvador can come back in that game because they will definitely do the U.S. a lot of favor if they can get a result against Costa Rica, and knowing that if the U.S. does get a win against Panama, then they of course would clinch their World Cup berth. Other than that, as it stands, even if the U.S. does win against Panama, it still comes down to the final day when the U.S. play against Costa Rica for a rights to get an automatic World Cup berth to Qatar later in November. But before we actually watch that game, and again, I know a lot of you are probably even watching this game right now because by the time I upload this video, I think the game would have started. But let us actually talk about this game between the Portland Timbers versus Orlando City, which, coming into this game, if Orlando City walk away with a point at Providence Park, I'm pretty sure they're going to be very happy with the resort. But after how they did walk away with a point at Providence Park, but the way the hell this game went, yeah, they're going to be very disappointed because, they really kind of control majority part of the game, and they didn't really kind of sit back and just defend for the entire game like I thought that they were going to do. And they were even up a man for the last 15 minutes of this game with a lead. But if there's one thing that we know about this season, when you're up a man and you're leading with 15 minutes to go, that usually does not bowl well for you, and you usually give up the lead, and it happened once again in this one. Now, in the first half, there was a protest from the Timbers Army in regards of the Andy Polo situation. So, the latest news, it seems like MLS actually pay Andy Polo and pretty much almost request him to not sue the league because of some clauses that basically stated that the league still have to pay him even though he's being terminated. I mean, it is just so messy right now in terms of that situation. I'm not really going to go too deep or even go into detail in this video. I think that would be something I would save for the news of the week, or if there's more developing story in regards of that. But, early on, I thought there was a lot of possession for Orlando, which is unexpected because I thought Orlando was just going to sit back, and I was kind of concerned because, this basically just play in the hands of the Portland Timbers. Like, they want their opposition to have possession so that they can hit them on the counterattack. Pato has the first real opportunity as he hits one straight to Ivicic. And again, the Timbers, I thought they looked threatening at time on the counter, as it is the case. Though they were just missing that final ball if they would have got the opening goal in this one. Though when it comes to when they had to possess the ball and trying to break this Orlando City team down, unsurprisingly, they're having a lot of trouble in terms of that. Paredes then missed an empty net header in the back post in the 28th minute. This game wasn't really that exciting in the first half. Like, there wasn't really much that happened. This was really the first real opportunity when Paredes literally was wide open in the back post, but he just could not quite hit that one in as the ball comes into the back post. Zubaric then fired one high from long range in the 36th minute, and we had to halftime 0-0 between the Portland Timbers and Orlando City. Now in the second half, Pereira fires one right to Ivicic, but then in the 51st minute, got ourselves the opening goal of this game. It's Junior Urso scoring from Pato to give Orlando City a 1-0 lead. But right after when Orlando City took that lead, the Timbers started to woke up. They started to press to try to find that equalizer. Blanco was also being summoned off the bench, and in his first real opportunity, he puts a one-hopper to Steideheim. Michel then missed wide on a free header from 10 yards out, and yeah, this was a big miss opportunity for Orlando City. And I think even Taylor Twellman mentioned the fact that that was a really big miss opportunity because Michel was just wide open in the 18-yard box, and he just could not quite get his technique correct there on the header and basically hits that one wide. Blanco then flashed one wide from 14 yards out in the 67th minute. I mean, you definitely saw the difference between this Timbers attack with Blanco and without Blanco. I mean, without Blanco, you saw how this attack was very stale, but when Blanco came in, it really adds up a dynamic to this attack, and it just shows you how much important that Blanco is to this Timbers team, and that in maybe these next couple of games, I think he'll start to go full 90 again. And the reason why he came off the bench is still trying to recover from that knee injury that he suffered from the playoffs. But there was no doubt that Orlando was starting to drop more and more back as they elected to just soak the pressure, kind of what I thought that they were going to do throughout this game. And then, unfortunately, in the 73rd minute, they suffer a big blow because Pereira has to be stretchered off with apparently a knee injury, and that Schlegel had to come in for him. Now, since I was also watching the Costa Rica versus El Salvador game, as I mentioned earlier, I actually kind of look away when Pereira basically suffered an injury. So I actually don't know if it was actually a knee injury that he suffered, but knowing with the way that he kind of stretched her off like that, yeah, most likely it looks like it is a knee injury. And anytime when a player is stretched her off, it's definitely not a good sign. And that let's just hope that Pereira doesn't suffer a long-term injury, and that Mauricio Pereira, he's been very injury prone for this Orlando City team, and this would be once again another big setback for him, of him just suffering so many injury during his time with this team. But then in the 77th minute, Van Rankin, of course, get himself his second yellow card. And I like the fact that he kind of argued the fact that how in the world did he get a yellow card from that, even though he didn't pull a player down, when it was pretty obvious that, yeah, anytime when you basically pull an attacker back whenever the attacker is going on the other end, and you basically commit a technical foul, it's a yellow card every time soon. And while that might be a smart foul when you're not on a yellow card, it's not a smart foul when you are on a yellow card. And yeah, that was just clear as daylight that is a second yellow on Van Rankin. But like I said, despite the fact that the Timbers are down to 10 men and they're down in this game, again, there's this weird feeling of this season where, for whatever reason, whenever a team is a man up and they had the lead heading into the last 15 minutes, they just somehow find a way to give up that lead. And it happened immediately in this one, as in the 79th minute, a penalty was given for the Timbers after Paredes was brought down by Pereira there, and that was pretty clear as daylight that is a penalty for the Portland Timbers, which Paredes was able to step up to take this penalty. I was kind of surprised Blanco wasn't the one that took the penalty, but I guess maybe Paredes, he wants to take that because he of course won the penalty for the Timbers there. But he makes no mistake and ties the game up at 1 apiece. The Orlando immediately got out of their defensive shelf and started to push to get the lead back. Then in the 4th minute of stoppage time, Benji Michel, he only got a yellow card after it looked like he flicked his hand into Bonilla's face. Now, I'm not gonna lie, Pablo Bonilla, he kind of play act a little bit, and how the Oscar is gonna be happening later tonight. I think he might get some nomination after what he did here, where yeah, it was pretty clear that he's tried to get Michel sent off in that situation. And there's also an argument that maybe Benji Michel didn't really kind of flick his hand or even touch his Bonilla's face. But if you get a yellow card for that, I'm assuming he must have made a contact, and that they did. I think VAR did kind of look into that, and eventually they kind of decided that there wasn't really any further punishment besides a yellow card. Though there's that argument of the fact that whenever a player's put his hands in the face of the opponent, the rule says that's an automatic red card, and this is kind of why that rule is starting to become a little bit of a gray area, where we've seen this before, where sometimes this is being called a red card when a player puts in the face of an opponent intentionally, and sometimes it's not called a red card, as we see in this instant. But either way, in the 6th minute of stoppage time, the Timber came so close of getting the winning goal, and I think Blanco thought that he scored the winning goal here, but Stadehayer, who didn't really have a lot to do in this one, he made a big save here to deny Blanco and the Timbers a winner at the death. And in the end, it ends in a 1-1 draw in this one, and the shots in this one, 12 shots compared to 11 that Orlando City has, 4 shots on goal for the 3 that the Timbers had. Both teams had 5 shots off target, 4 shots that was blocked for the 2 that Orlando has, and possession-wise, 52% possession compared to 48% possession that Orlando City has in this game. And overall, I don't know if either of these teams will be happy with this result. I mean, again, Orlando's, coming into this game, if they would have got a draw out of this one, they'll definitely be very happy. But just look at how the circumstances kind of happened in this one. They will be very frustrated that they didn't get all 3 points in this one. And also for the Timbers, I know they went down a man and they were able to get themselves a goal when they went down a man there. But you just kind of sense that in a game where they were playing a very short-handed Orlando City side, and not to mention the fact that, you know, when you're playing at home, you want to get all 3 of those points and you don't want to drop points. And here the Timbers, of course, drop points here, and all of a sudden now, you know, it seems like the Portland Timbers are back to their usual self, where this has always been a team that has got off to a slow start. And I know I'm not going to be that concerned yet with this team, because, you know, we've seen this before, and eventually they turn it on in the second half, almost copying their Cascadia rivals recipe of how the Seattle Sounders like to do that. But, you know, it is kind of a little bit frustrating if you're a Timbers fan, especially seeing the team that hopefully maybe get off to a good start in the season, and so far it has not happened with them dropping more points in this game against a weakening Orlando City team. But either way, hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you do, make sure you guys leave a like, smash the subscribe button. Let me know in the comments below, what do you think of this game? And yeah, I know in just about a couple of minutes we got that big game between the U.S. versus Panama, which I of course will do a review of that game, and let's just hope that review will be a more happier review. Oh, and by the way, I also didn't put the starting 11 that the U.S. is going to put against Panama, though I'll probably put it up once I do the review of the U.S. versus Panama game. But yeah, let's just fingers crossed that they can of course get the win, and also that game between El Salvador and Costa Rica, as I mentioned, fingers crossed that El Salvador will come back and help out the U.S. in that game by getting a point, or even getting all 3 points against Costa Rica. But until then, hope you guys enjoyed this video, and yeah, I of course will see you guys next time.